So please feel free to ask any questions as we move along this presentation. Today we are launching BuyMax Communications. This is another pillar of BuyMax. This is something that has just launched last week. So we're just in that mode right now and can help you with any of your requirements with regards to your communications technology and different services that you utilize within your franchise. So today I do ask that you can ask questions via chat, but please raise your hand. I can see all participants in one window. So again, we can make this a little bit more informal and focused around you guys if you so wish. Today with me, I think most of you know who I am by now. My name is Claire Perry and I'm the sourcing director here at BuyMax. And with me today, I also have Steve Medcroft, who is the product portfolio director for a company called City Comms, who are the backbone of BuyMax Communications. So he is very much the face of BuyMax Communications. He has a BuyMax email address, phone number, etc., and will be dedicated to BuyMax to help our franchisees with all of their communication needs. Again, I think most of you know who BuyMax are, but just to show us in our new light, we are currently relaunching in terms of showing our new services that we've brought to the table this year. Most of you know our preferred vendor program and also use it. We also have obviously the private label products. We have Fleet Solutions, which launched about 5 weeks ago now. And is doing really, really well. So if any of you have not yet reached out to Fleet, please do so, because this is an area where people are seeing a lot of savings, either through just using a fuel card, for example, or even transitioning their fleets from current lease providers to Mike Albert as well. We're seeing a lot of recapitalization, and this is proving fruitful to some of those franchisor owners out there. So please do take advantage of that, or at the end, I can give you our link and you can read more about it on our website. But today, this is mostly about communications. In fact, it's all about communications. We are now offering a full suite of communications and technology. And today, Steve is going to take you through what is included in BuyMax Communications and how the process works for you to receive everything, again, free of charge, all of the upfront audits, telephone calls, etc., that Steve can do with you to scope out what your needs are, which is a fairly quick process. It's just a matter of a 30-minute phone call to go through what your needs are, and then Steve goes back to his multiple vendors and really can help you understand if, one, you're paying the correct price, two, you have the most effective solution, and three, making sure that that continued support through your contracts with your communication vendors are as effective as possible. So again, today we're offering this service. It's a lot of experts that sit behind Steve and can help you with all of your needs, whether you're a small, medium or large franchise, multi-location, multi-branded, etc. We have a solution for all of this. So again, please stick with us for the next half an hour or so, and we can show you what it's all about. With that in mind, I have to post some questions here because I believe there's definitely a yes answer to at least one of these 4 questions. We've created this solution because of people coming to us asking if we have any vendors in this field. It is a very complex field. You probably know more about it than I do when it comes to the products on offer, the services that you can take advantage of. But the point being, this market changes every single day. Vendors change every single day. Services are becoming more innovative. Obviously, there's VoIP solutions now. Everything can be done over the internet. But the point remains is that there is money to be taken out of whatever you have today. And I can guarantee that. Even if it's your cell phone bills, we have been able to negotiate rates which are far lower than the market right now. We have saved a lot of money during the pilot of BuyMax Communications. And again, we'll go through some of those examples today. These are live examples that have happened in the last 6 weeks or so. So again, today is all about ensuring that we are giving you solutions and services which are the most competitive and the most effective for your organization. So with that, I'm going to introduce you to Steve Medcroft, and he can take you through today what our BuyMax communication service pillars are, and can give you some, again, like I said, some real life examples of what's been happening over the last few weeks and how we can support your business even more effectively moving forward. So Steve, I'm going to hand over to you now, if that's okay, and you can take it from here.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Claire. Good morning, everyone. To start, I think the most important thing for me to get across is to help you understand what BuyMax Communications is for you. Essentially, we are a consulting group or a help desk that you can call on whenever you have questions, concerns, or just want someone to look over these 5 areas of communications technology for your business. Our goal is to provide you with ways to save money, if that's your mission, get better at running the business around these technologies, if that's your mission, or introduce you to new concepts, new technologies, and new ideas, if that's what you're seeking. So we look for you to call on us when you want to have this conversation around any of those 3 objectives. The 5 main areas of communications technology that we have expertise in are wireless and mobility, the wireless devices deployed to your employees to make them productive in the field. Internet access and carrier services is the infrastructure that we're running offices on, so internet connections, phone lines, and so on. VoIP phone systems, the tools that we use to communicate with the outside world. For larger franchisees who have proper contact centers or call centers, contact center technology, and then a supplementary resource of live answering services, or someone who can take the answering of your calls and handle customer requests and turn those into opportunities for you. We're going to drill down into these a little bit further and share a couple of examples of exactly how we work in each of these areas. Claire, give me the next slide. The process, though, before we get to the breakdown of all the 5 categories, the process is pretty simple, like Claire said. It starts with an outreach on your part. You have a question, you have an initiative, you want us to help you on one of these areas, reach out. We set a short 30-minute phone call. I or one of my colleagues will ask you questions to help clarify exactly what we want to accomplish. What area of technology are we talking about? What are our goals? And then we'll ask you for the documentation that we need to do our work. Typically, that's phone bills, wireless bills, VoIP provider bills. We'll take that information and we'll build like an inventory or a snapshot of exactly what you have going on at your business. We'll establish what the goals are, and then we'll go out to our vendor pool, and we've got hundreds of vendors in this market, and we have access to pretty much every one of them. We'll go out to our vendor pool and we'll ask them to provide us with data that supports their proposals, and we'll come back to you with a list of recommendations. Here's what we think you could do. Our objective is always to give you options, and we're not here to steer you to a single solution or represent something in the market. We're not selling any particular vendor. What we're trying to do is leverage our expertise to navigate this complex vendor pool and come back to you with options so that you ultimately get to decide what you do. Once you decide on a strategy, we'll help you through implementation. We'll project manage any of the choices that you make and make sure these things get installed. They get installed right, on time. That's a big thing in telecom. Once the billing starts, we'll audit that bill with you to make sure that you're paying what you were promised, that there's no hidden fees or surprises. And then after the service is installed and up and running, if you occasionally need support, we'll be available to you to step in if you need to deal with any challenges that you're having with that vendor or that service. All right, Claire, let's go on to wireless and mobility. But first, let's look at some pretty icons. All right, wireless and mobility. So far, as we're beginning to learn the needs of franchisees and down the organization, we're learning that wireless and mobility is the most important communications technology that you're using. It's typically the most expensive. If you're a field-based organization, but it is also critical because this is how you keep employees productive and connected to your back-end systems. When we're talking about wireless and mobility, we're not just talking about company cell phones in employees' hands. We're also talking about the tablets. We're also talking about any cellular connected equipment. So we have franchisees that have hotspots. We have franchisees that have IoT devices, so sensors that are installed on equipment that need to connect to the internet to report back failures. So anything related to wireless, anything with a SIM card, these are the services that we're working with. There are really three different classes of provider in this space. I'm not going to go too far into the weeds, but the carriers, the T-Mobile, the Verizons, the Sprints, the AT&Ts are just the tip of the iceberg in wireless and mobility when you're running a business. If you're a small franchisee, you will have a direct relationship with one of these carriers, and that's fine. That's an effective way to get the service you need. But as you grow larger, the challenges in running this category of spend become more complex. You start to have challenges around managing all the equipment that's out there. Who has what device? Is it active? Is anyone going over and ruining our data plan? These are the kind of questions around managing the devices that come up. So there are tools in this marketplace and service providers who can help you more effectively manage that for that wireless account and keep it lean and clean. Make sure you're in the right plans. Make sure you're not being overbilled for anything. Well, the example that we have here is we recently done an audit and analysis for Authority Brands Corporate. I know it's a larger scale than most franchise organizations, but the principles are the same. They had a pool of about 1,200 company devices. The what the audit included evaluating every device, every service plan, and every additional cost associated with every line of service, and then going out to the market and finding a provider who can best serve this organization, not just give them better pricing, but also put them into the kind of management software that an account this size needs to effectively maintain the inventory and um, add new devices in a more streamlined manner and so on. Anyway, so the management struggles were just as big as the savings. In this case, we were able to yield about a 50% savings across the board and provide a complete management platform to run this category of spend on. So it's a big win. On a smaller scale, working with a couple of franchisees in the 100 device range, and the savings are just as impressive, but also the introduction to these franchisees of the management tools is being pretty well received. So talk to us about wireless. If you have any questions about what am I spending, how am I using these devices, and how can I better manage and control them?
Thanks, Steve. And just to point out there as well, when Steve says Authority Brands Corporate, it was actually some of our corporate offices, obviously where Mark and Lance sit, for example, in Phoenix, but mostly for our technicians out in the field. So this bill included all of our technicians across the retail stores, the company-owned stores. So the need was quite similar to obviously what a franchise system would need as well. So the mobile device management and being able to use multi-carrier SIMs, dependent on where all of these locations were a massive benefit to Authority Brands. So just to put that in even more context to so that you can relate to a great saving here, obviously. Thank you.
Infrastructure. So for franchisees that also have a fixed office, that office needs infrastructure, phone lines, typically internet access. But as the world is moving more and more to cloud-based service, internet access is becoming the infrastructure. So we have access to pretty much every phone carrier and internet access provider around the country, and can get you quotes, re-rates, and technological realignment to make sure if you're having struggles or challenges with internet access, how can we make that internet access better? What we see with a lot of small businesses is when they install high-speed internet access, if they have any trouble related to internet access, they typically look for a bigger, faster pipe as the solution. So you can have, I've seen small businesses with only 10 employees paying for 100 times more bandwidth than they need to run their business because they're just running everything through a single pipe. we can talk to you about technologies to make internet access better and cleaner and safer to run cloud-based services. So sometimes our goal is to save money. Is there a cheaper option? Is there a better, cheaper option? But sometimes the exercise around infrastructure is there a smarter way to do this? A smarter, safer way to do this so that we're more resilient, more stable, and the tools that we're using to run our business on that are out there in the cloud, internet-based, are, we're able to take advantage of them. So I have two success stories for you. We have a relationship with a company that owns or that runs in-home medical care across the country, and same scenario. At each of their offices, they had a single fiber optic internet access because they thought they needed to have that was the most stable, secure option, the biggest, fattest pipe they could install. We were able to talk them through new technology that's out there in the market that leverages multiple connections to provide extreme reliability for small business without having to overbuild internet access. So in this case, we were able to both save them money and provide them with a much more resilient and redundant internet access scenario. So 50% savings, but a much improved technology profile for internet access. What I mean by unreliable internet access, if you have one internet access connection, the way that unreliability can rear its ugly head is getting kicked out of applications during the day. If you have a VoIP phone system, getting complaints when you pick up the phone and answer it that people can't hear you on the other end or that the voice quality is bad. That is not typically a result of how big your internet pipe is. It's typically a result of how reliable that internet connection is. And we can introduce you to ways to solve those problems without spending more money. The other is a uh, similar scenario for a small business where our advice actually was for them to spend a little bit more to solve the internet problems that they were having. Again, same scenario, right? The unreliability of internet access was interfering with their ability to run their business. So our guidance was to get them into technology that stabilized the internet to make the business run, and their cost savings was more in lost productivity than it was in physical hard costs. So internet access, phone lines, when we're talking about infrastructure, come to us with the challenges that you're having, and we can talk you through solutions, either technological or by moving vendors, and get you into a much more stable, reliable environment. Let's take a look at the next slide. Excuse me. VoIP phone systems. So the phone system world, if for many of us, for many small businesses, we install a small phone system we buy from a local vendor. They hang a box on the wall, they connect phones at every desk, and we rarely, if ever, need to do anything with that piece of infrastructure until it fails. Maybe we add a phone every once in a while, but if it doesn't fail. But the modern phone system world has really moved to a cloud delivery model. So phone companies rarely install boxes on the wall anymore. Typically, these services are being delivered over the internet, and the devices that are on our desk, the multi-line phones that are on our desk, are being connected to the cloud-based service over the internet. So whenever we're dealing with phone system issues, and where we see that come up with for franchisees is when we're expanding or we're growing, we're adding another office, we're adding more employees, we need to expand our phone system, and either your phone system becomes obsolete through age or because it costs a lot to upgrade, or you want to shift to VoIP. So for our success story number one, we really looked at or the second one here, the 22 location pet hospital chain. This was a customer that currently has small phone systems installed in all 22 hospitals. And their question to us was, we've outgrown these phone systems. They're obsolete. We're paying a lot of money every year for technicians to come out and repair them, replace them. Would we be better off in a VoIP environment? So we went through the exercise with them to fully understand how they're using their phones, how calls flow, and so on. And we came to them with 3 vendors that offered proposals for moving them to VoIP. And a lot of times, VoIP seems like it's going to cost you more money because if you own your phone system, spending money every month on a subscription to a VoIP service provider seems like it's going to be more expensive. But when we add up the cost of the phone lines that were plugged into those phone systems that can go away, the technical service agreements that had to be in place for the maintenance, and the average cost of repairs and upgrades over the course of the last 18 months, we were able to show a significant savings moving to a VoIP environment. So if you're holding on to an old phone system because you own it, but it's not serving your needs anymore, we can talk you through how to evaluate moving to a VoIP phone provider where everything is current and everything is modern and everything is currently upgraded. And because it's being delivered over the cloud, it is also fully redundant. The second scenario is for those of you who've already taken the leap to VoIP phone systems. We're seeing a lot of customers who are 2-3 years into their first VoIP phone system who are still paying 3-year-old rates, and they're asking themselves, are we paying the best rate that's out there? Because there are so many providers in this space, there is a lot of price compression. So the pricing that we're seeing on the market today would have been unheard of 3 years ago. So there's a lot of opportunity for cost savings if you're on a VoIP phone system now, just by taking a quick look at the market, seeing what's out there, and seeing if there's an alternative you could move to that reduces your cost. The good news about VoIP phone systems is typically the investment that you had when you set it up, the phones themselves, are portable. You typically can use the same phones on any VoIP provider. So it's a lot easier to switch providers than it is to change phone systems to try to get savings. So that's VoIP phone systems. For larger franchisees who already have a call center, they already have a group of people that are responsible for taking customer calls and or customer support calls or sales calls or whatever. However you have a group of people organized, you might already be taking advantage of contact center technology. So this is phone system on steroids, a phone system that includes advanced routing to better handle callers who are waiting to be answered. So being able to play messages, give callers the option to receive a call back, et cetera. These are all features of contact center technology. And then organize your group, your calls as they route into the group of people responsible so that they're evenly distributed, so that supervisors can listen in and train employees on calls, so that you get reports that tell you what's happening. There's a lot of advantage to using contact center technology when you have multiple employees answering calls. This also is an entire group of technology that's moved to the cloud. So same scenario, if you're using a phone system and you have a group of people answering calls, we'd love to talk to you about how you're doing it today, because there's a lot of logic in some of these contact center technologies and how they organize this work, the delivery of these tasks to agents. There's also a lot of large scale contact center technology that was not available to small businesses 10 years ago that's now available to small business because of the cloud-based delivery model. In this space, we either help, we typically help people who are moving from a premise-based or a phone system environment to the cloud. So the conversation is, how are you organizing these calls? How many employees do you have? How are they routing? What reports are you looking at? And then we bring you cloud-based vendors who can deliver contact center technology to you per agent per month on a per agent per month basis. Or we're working with, in this case, the success story we have is a electrical services franchisee in Texas that we worked with that was already on a cloud-based contact center platform, and they were not receiving they weren't getting what they asked for, what they paid for. They were not able to produce reports they wanted. They weren't able to have full control over their system and the routing that they wanted. So they were dealing with poor customer support. So they wanted us to help them find another vendor to move to. But part of the exercise there was just rebuilding the scope and being and really understanding what they wanted to accomplish, and making sure when we made this choice of which new vendor to move to, that we had a process in place to make sure that we got everything that we asked for. So the projects look like that. They look like, I have employees organized in the group and I want to get much more efficient about how we run that system, or I want to move to the cloud. The last area that we have in communications technology is when you have the same scenario we just talked about, you have the need to have lots of calls answered by a group of people, but you're looking for an outside source to help you with that. we've got access to multiple outside sources, but there are some really good companies who know the franchise space very, very well. They know your vertical very, very well. And instead of figuring out how to add more employees and train them and staff and schedule them to handle this work yourself, there's third-party companies ready to outsource that for you, with the goal of reducing the number of unanswered calls and eliminating after hours messaging and converting people at the point of interest. I think we all know that the speed to answer and first time resolution are really, really important in this space, right? If someone calls you, you need to try to answer and take care of them as quickly as possible, or they will just move on to another option. So working with an outside vendor, if this is a challenge for your business, is something that we can help you with. Just to bring it all back together, again, 5 areas of technology, but as a consultant, as a help desk, we're a resource for you to reach out to with questions around any of this technology, whether it's just cost savings, technological improvement, operational efficiency. You just want us to look at how you've done things and give you a second set of eyes to tell you that you've done things well. That's what we're here for, and we hope you reach out, and we're available anytime. I think the communication, what we're trying to communicate with this slide here is one of the challenges that we're trying to solve for you is there's just too much choice. We literally have access to, I would say there's not a single vendor on the market that's an operational, professional, high-level vendor that I would recommend that's not available to us. And we'd like to help you narrow this field of options down to a simplified set of choices that are in complete alignment with what your goals are and what your business needs are. We're also working on some proactive packaging for you. Rather than just wait until everyone thinks of the problem they have that they want help solving, we're also going out there and talking to vendors in advance and trying to put together package deals. We've already have some pre-negotiated wireless service rates, but we'd like to be able to show you 3 or 4 VoIP options that where vendors have made special offers to the franchise community. Call center technology, the same thing. We're working with a managed IT provider to offer like managed firewalls and help desk support for computers and so on. So if there's other areas where you think we should be looking forward instead of waiting for a problem to arise, we'd love to hear about it. We're completely open to going out and working with vendors in advance and trying to solve problems or bring solutions to the table, prepackaged already for franchisees to take advantage of. So keep an eye out for this marketing material, for emails from us as well. And we'll keep sending you ideas and offers as we come across them.
Thanks, Steve. Yeah, as Steve just said, there's more to come. There's more communications to be released. We didn't have a lot of people on today, but those who did, thank you for joining us. I do have a few requests that have come in, which is great, and we will crack on with those after this webinar. For the rest of you, if there's anything here that looks like it will help your business, I really do think there are savings to come out, especially from the wireless and VoIP opportunities. So all it will take is one quick phone call with Steve, and he can then go away and identify all the different vendors who can meet your needs moving forward. So again, please do reach out to us by the email address on the screen, communications@4buymax.com, or you can see some more information on our website. But yeah, thank you again for joining today. If there are no other questions, then I will let you go a lot earlier than planned, and thank you again, and happy Thanksgiving.